All right, boys, in today's video, we're going to be breaking down backgrounds and setups for your organic dropshipping business. Whether you just have, your own little room, your own studio, your own office, your own warehouse like me, I'm going to walk you through and help you kind of deck out your own space so you can start getting more views and your vibe, the background in all of your videos, every product you run just has that much more of a vibe to it, that much more aesthetics. That's going to lead to more engagement and more views for your products. I'm also going to go through, before we get into that, and break down my famous, organic dropshipping background that I'm sure almost all of you seeing this video have seen at some point. And if you haven't seen mine, you've seen somebody replicate something from my room. If you don't know who I am, my name's Ethan Hayes. And within just the last 2 years, actually a little less than 2 years, I've done almost $1 million with organic dropshipping and well over 1 billion views. And hundreds of millions of those views, I would associate to having a nice background and a good setup. So with that being said, I'm going to jump over here onto this screen recording. I'm going to break down my old at-home studios room, kind of how I curated it, how I came up, and how I kind of ideated making it look so nice and aesthetic. And then after that, I'm going to help you create and craft your very own super aesthetic room for all of your products and all of your videos for those products within your organic dropshipping business. All right, boys. So let's break down my OG setup. I'm kind of, famous for this. The wall tiles, the LED rope, that's literally half the reason you guys see these all over your burners now. I originated about 90% of this room decor, believe it or not. I know talk is cheap, so believe that if you will. But let's just go ahead and break down, kind of my old setup. I'm in the new warehouse now, but this is what my at-home office used to look like. And it was completely intentional to increase kind of the vibe of all of my videos. So I'm literally just going to break down and walk through each and every wall basically of that room. And then after this, I'm going to give you a checklist of your own that you can then go and just like screenshot and use that to go out and help build your, at-home setup or whatever vibe you plan on creating. And then of course, I'm going to teach you where to find this stuff, best way to actually, find and get these items, and also kind of the budget friendlier way as well, because I'm not assuming, you have thousands of dollars to spend on a setup like I did. Some of this stuff is budget friendly. And even if you have at least 50 to 100 bucks to spare on a background, it's definitely worth it. And you can definitely 10X, just the whole vibe of your area with just like 50 to 100 bucks. So it's worth it regardless of what kind of budget you have. So let's just go ahead and start off. Over here, we have the nice and aesthetic kind of corner of my room. If you were to assume like where I'm at in the room, my door walking into that studio is right behind me in this picture. And this is really just for inspiration for you guys when you start to build your own and try to, or at least make yours look better than what it is now. So right here, framed picture, this like OG picture, black and white, of a dog, a Doberman with a GUN in his mouth. Over here, a whiteboard where I kind of manifested. This is just kind of my own aesthetic. And, I'd write random stuff on there, a little bit of manifestation, a little bit of affirmations, whatever it may be. I caddy cornered these like this for a reason. It looks really nice. You got the LED bar in the corner. That's a classic. That's definitely something you should pick up. Then the little boom mic stand. This kind of served its own purpose. This wasn't even really intentional to go into the aesthetic, but over time, it kind of just did look and kind of add a vibe to the aesthetic. But I was using this obviously to help film my YouTube videos. Then over here, an accent chair. I barely ever used it. Literally, I got this chair just to make my room look better. And then an accent pillow. This kind of like really cool monkey ball. If you guys ever remember, like if you were younger, everybody had those monkey balls on their keys. That's what this is, and it's big and fluffy. It looks really nice. The OG wall tiles, I made these huge in this space. You'll see everybody have these now. And these you can pick up off Amazon, but we're going to get into like, the little details here in just a second and walk you through exactly how to get these. So that's the first corner of my room. That's exactly what you see when you first walk in. Now, to the right of me, as you walk through that door, this was what you saw, okay? A little bit of a closet vibe in the office, the classic LED rope. This is also another huge staple that I made in this space. And also, guys, I want you to really try on these setups once you actually get into it, because I saw so many people try to replicate this and their LED rope looks so ugly and weird and like droopy, and like it just didn't even catch a vibe. Like they tried to imitate, but they didn't do it well. So when you do this, either create your own vibe or at least try to make it look aesthetic. Like don't just go slap the random LED rope on the wall. Okay, and then of course a random LED sign. Make this your vibe. A lot of what I did, guys, was I just kind of thought of my whole personality, everything I liked, everything I enjoyed, my hobbies, all things of that nature, and I kind of just try to throw it up into a room. Then over here you have the accent chair. Of course, another accent chair. Once again, I barely ever use this, but then another accent pillow, nice little cool little piece of dice. That's really cool. The rug, this is a staple. And once again, we're going to go over your checklist in just a second. I'm just running you through my old studio. Now, as we move on, this was my desk setup. I'm not expecting all of you to be able to afford a $4,000 or $5,000 PC with a ultra wide monitor, none of that. But regardless, if you are going to have like a desk set up in whatever area you're about to deck out, which I'm assuming you're gonna, because you have to have some sort of computer or something if you're doing this business model, make it nice, clean, and aesthetic. Don't have some random janky table. You can get like a super cheap, just aesthetic black or white table, kind of minimalistic from Walmart. I'd assume for just like $50, honestly. And then just have your setup on there and make everything kind of congruent. Don't have like this thing, that random color, this thing over here, that random color. Try to be intentional with everything you do, and it'll just 10x the entire vibe of your entire studio or whatever area you're at. Now, moving on this wall. So now we're looking at my setup. So from the very first photo, this photo, if you were to turn to the right, but not end up at the closet. So here's the door. Then I'm looking in front of me to see this. And then if I turn to the right just a little bit, this is in the corner right over. Okay, that's where my setup is. As you can see here, this is where the drape is still coming down, or the curtain is still coming down. Over here, once again, just trying to, my vibe, my personality, you can make these pictures or these frames whatever you want, whatever your vibe is, just make it nice and aesthetic. Okay, I don't even remember where I got this actually. This was actually a random one-off find, so it's not even going to be through one of the methods that I'm going to give you in just a second. I think I found this at like not a Five and Below, but a similar store. Okay, it's an Air Force One with the cool, little OG type of painting on it. I thought it was really cool. My shelf back here, this was very intentional. Floating shelf, super cool little TikTok trendy melting clock coming off the side. You can't see behind my little tripod here, but this was like what looked to be a statue, but like had a ice cream stuffed in his face. Super big chest piece right here. Golden glittered skull. Not really a big fan of that one. I don't know why I kept it there. It really didn't match my vibe. Up here, you can't see it, but this was like a wooden hand that you could mold to whatever you want to flip people off. And that's what I used it for. You could do it, make it whatever you want, but I used it to flip people off. And then like a director board, like a little mini replica of it. Over here, Bape. I'm really big into kind of like this hype beast style, streetwear style. That's where you'll see a lot of this come from. So over here, this is called Bape. This is like baby Bape, whatever they call it. And this is actually a mirror. I got this off Temu, but once again, we're getting into the logistics in just a second. I'm just going to keep flying through this. Got this off Temu. Just a really nice little accent piece to have on the wall to fill up the wall. And this is also kind of just to show what my desk setup looked like at different times. This was a little more cluttered than I'd like, but still a nice vibe in the actual light. Over here, this is just to show you kind of the rugs, right? We already saw the GUN rug, which was just a nice vibe. I've filtered through all kinds of rugs, but you get the gist, okay? Rugs are a must, and we're gonna get into your checklist in just a second. Also, what's great about like the accent chairs, the accent pillows, the accent rugs, when we get into progression and whatnot within your content, which if you don't know what progression is, go look at like my third most recent YouTube video. You'll see if you just click on my channel, it's in big and bold on the thumbnail, progression. Go watch that video, it'll make a lot more sense. Once you have these sort of disposable little accent pieces throughout your studio or your area, you can also move them at your will to, kind of create certain vibes whenever you want, wherever you want in the room, if that makes sense. Like this rug, I'd move it to a certain frame, or maybe I was filming a clip on this side now, and then I would pull that rug to a different side and have it just coming out of the top right of the corner of the screen, things like that. So that's another reason these are super valuable. First, let's get into this. This is the actual accent wall as a whole with the 3D tiles and the TV sticking out of it. This was super cool. We mounted a TV, and then it had like this floating effect. It just looked really nice and aesthetic. You can obviously see where this is. And then this is the only picture I had that showed the LED. I actually ended up putting behind it, which was just a crazy vibe. Of course, a little flex with the 6K day on the dash, but what I'm really trying to show you is kind of just like, look at the vibe. You can just see the vibe growing over and over, and you can just see how crazy of a vibe I made it. And this isn't one of those things, guys, where you're going to go and you're going to make like the coolest room ever, like the very first, like 1 or 2 Amazon and Temu orders you make. it's going to kind of develop over time. And that's what this is. But this just added, I wish I could find a better picture, but this looked so cool. Like this was probably one of my best sort of designs, should I say, putting that LED behind there and then it flashing onto the 3D tiles with the TV sticking out, just so bougie, so aesthetic. Also, guys, really quick, before we move on to the next part, if you're still watching this video and you're actually finally ready to start taking organic dropshipping serious, and I'm not just talking about, getting the nice aesthetic room and the nice aesthetic background, but I'm talking about finally starting to make serious money with organic, then I want to give you the opportunity to join my advanced organic dropshipping program, where me and my team of 6- and 7-figure organic dropshippers take guys just like you and finally help you start making a full-time income with organic dropshipping and finally help you start to hit, 6 figures, maybe even multi-6 figures in lifetime rev. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, I'll leave a link down below in the description of this video where you can book a call with me personally, and we'll see if you'd be a good fit. If you are, you'll work with us, and we'll basically just kind of team up with you to help you finally find, success with organic. But regardless, whether you book a call or not, let's get back into this lesson. Now, let's get into your own checklist. I'm going to take this and put it right here to allow you to screenshot this. Now you have your screenshot. Now let's get into what your actual checklist is. And you can use that screenshot to go and now, build your own super aesthetic studio or room. Here's your plug and play checklist. Wall decor, all kinds of it. Your main pieces are going to be 3D panels. And guys, don't just go copy bar for bar what I'm doing. And when you take inspiration from others or other drop shippers or through the methods that I'm about to show you to take inspiration, don't just go and take their exact thing. That's what I saw a lot of people do. They had to take the exact LED rope. They had to take the exact wall panels. I would try to kind of be as original as possible while still taking inspiration, right? So I would, maybe try to find a different 3D panel than I've ever seen anybody use. Or if I'm doing a frame poster, I'd make it original all on my own. The way you can do these frame posters, guys, is you can kind of just find your own poster that has no frame and then just go buy a certain color frame for it. You can just look up black frame, white bordered frame, right? And you can literally create a lot of these items you're seeing. Like, for example, this right here, I got this actual photo, just a print of it off Temu, and then I got this little black, nice aesthetic border that was super fitting for it in the same size at Walmart, right? So you can basically create your own unique sort of environment. It's really dope. I have, some people are different. I'm a super creative person. I love stuff like this. Whether you love it or not, this is something you need to do. This is going to 10x your content, your vibe, everything about it. And honestly, in general, speaking of kind of entrepreneurship, being in an environment like this, bro, it's going to 10x your energy. And that's going to 10x the money you make by constantly being on vibes compared to something that's just super bland and super whatever. I know that's kind of off topic, but still. And now our keywords, in which we're going to get into this in just a second, our keywords are going to be, 3D wall panels, black, 3D wall panels, white. And then from there, a lot of these keyword searches, you'll start to understand and get the gist and kind of see how they're naming things on the Amazon listing or the Temu listing. And then you can start, tweaking your phrases and stuff that you're searching and start finding some crazy cool stuff. Then of course, like framed hype beast art or, like for that exact example, I wanted to go with like a black and white theme on that wall. So I was looking up like hype beast black and white wall poster, things like that. Okay. And then of course, super simple LED light strip TV for behind the TV. Now shelves and props. These are like, I know some people can't like put shelves and stuff up, but whatever you can do to, even if it's like a standing shelf, but obviously floating and like putting it in the wall is going to look super aesthetic. Floating shelves with theme decor. This is going to be, TikTok room shelf decor, aesthetic figurines, cool shelf decor. This is really self-explanatory. And once again, once I show you the method on how you kind of go and find all of these super cool things, you're going to understand and kind of get the gist on what to start searching yourself once you see how they name all these things on Temu, Amazon, and all that stuff. Now, desk area, like I said, this is optional. You may or may not have a desk area. You may or may not be in a certain situation. I know not all of you watching this will have your whole own like sort of office like I did. Even if you just have a little area, so once again, still worth it to run up a really nice aesthetic background, get a few props going. Now for the desk area, like I said, it's optional, but we already went over this. Clean desk, matching colors, aesthetic mouse and keyboard, 1 or 2 cool props, 1 or 2 like, little desk ornaments to have. Keywords are going to be, minimalist desk setup, PC accessories, cool desk props. And this, with these keywords, guys, it's not only going to be when you're actually searching to buy them, but also when we get into the research we're going to do on how you get inspiration for things in your room. Now, the vibe enhancers. These are also a must because a lot of these are disposable, meaning, you can move them around in your content to add more progression and create certain vibes just by moving them, okay? Now, this is going to be rugs, lamps, plants, just random cool shit, right? The random accent chairs, the random throw pillows. That's what the vibe enhancers are. Keywords for this: vibey room decor, aesthetic desk ideas, cool plant for hype beast room, hype beast rug, streetwear style rug. These terms, this hype beast, this streetwear, if you're looking for the aesthetic that I have, these are the terms you're going to want to be using. Like that's what basically encapsulates this style of things. Now, how to find good ideas and where to get the decor. For inspiration, you're going to use my setup, of course, combined with TikTok and Pinterest setups. So you're going to go to TikTok and you're going to search up vibey room decor, vibey home decor, aesthetic rooms for men. All of these keywords and terms that we just went over here. From there, you are going to get absolutely blasted with so much inspiration, you don't even know what to think, okay? So keep your vibe in your mind of what you want to create, whether you're going to go super minimalist or super black and white or, the hypebeast style, the streetwear style. Keep that in your mind and then filter out everything else when you're seeing all this different stuff that pops up, okay? Now, you're going to, based upon those ideas, you'll search for the items on Temu, Etsy, and Amazon. All you have to do is be super descriptive, okay? So if you find something, let's say, for example, you find something like that monkey ball pillow on my chair. Realize how these kind of search engines work. That's like the biggest question I get asked when people talk about my setup. They're like, but like, how do you even find those? Like, what do you even type in? Like, what even is that? Literally just think of what it is. Like, try to like make your own, like, what is that? You can start on Safari or just go straight to Amazon, Temu, or Etsy. But use those terms. 9 times out of 10, they're going to pop up. Okay. Like 9 times out of 10, that's kind of how they'll be describing them on wherever it is you're looking for them. So like, for example, like, for that pillow, I would look up monkey ball fluffy pillow, right? Or I would look up floating shelf in corner, right? Melting clock. But like I said, the reason these are kind of in the same how to find good ideas and where to get the decor is because, of course, you can use TikTok, me, and Pinterest for like inspiration and like just looking up keywords. But really the best route to go is you're going to go hit up Temu. You're going to go to Temu and just look up men's home decor, vibey or trendy men's home decor, hype beast home decor, hype beast rugs, hype beast posters, hype beast streetwear, vibey, and aesthetic. Use those keywords and then just men's room decor, men's home decor. You'll find literally everything you need. Then just go down a rabbit hole on Temu, right? And I promise you, set yourself like a budget. Don't go overboard. Like, depending on your budget, let's say your budget's $50. Make it 50. You'll be able to find quite a few nice, cool things for $50. Let's say you're a little bit more on the advanced side and you have a budget of like $500 to deck everything out. Go and sit there, bro, and just kind of go through the motion, go through all of the kind of results that it's bringing you from those key terms and just sit there and add to cart, creating your vibe with that $500 budget. Now, once again, the reason that these are both together is because in and of itself, it's the same thing. Like, you'll find just as good of stuff searching these key terms on Etsy and Temu and then just literally seeing the stuff to buy and then just buying it from there. But if you want a little bit more inspiration beforehand, use TikTok and Pinterest, just using these simple key terms. Now, guys, some tips and motivation. Don't forget, people aren't just buying the product, they're also buying the vibe, and your job is to sell the vibe. And if you don't understand what I'm saying by that, you can also, once again, just go click my channel. You'll scroll down once or twice, you'll see a video, the thumbnail, big bold letters, sell the vibe, where I kind of explain what selling the vibe is, why and how you should do it. And that's a lot of what goes into the lesson we just went over and, building out this nice background and aesthetic. This helps you sell the vibe. Literally, it sounds crazy, but having a better vibe, having a better setup, having a more aesthetic room is going to make you more views and more sales. It's that simple. And once again, remember, guys, even with a $50 budget, you can make your background 10 times better with just the right lighting, and 1 or 2 props. So with that being said, I hope I start seeing all of your super dope and aesthetic setups and rooms and studios on my burner, and I'll see you guys on the next one.